I think sometimes, people can be overwhelmed thinking that you gotta, it's 50 steps and, it's a lot of things required. And there is things that you have to do to be methodical. And I always find it funny when I talk to one of the kids and they're like, man, once they start like really adulting, they started adulting, they were like, man, you got to do A, B, C, D, X, Y, Z, and you got to know something about all of this stuff. I was like, hey, welcome to the real world.
Yeah, welcome to adulting. So people, this is my whole thing here is keep it simple as possible. And so what? I, here's what I'm not a fan of, and I'll be very honest: is that if it's complicated, it's not sustainable. Welcome. This is For Better and Worth.
The podcast where we don't believe you have to sacrifice your relationship while you grow and build your net worth.
We are your hosts.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Ericka Young, and we're so glad you're joining us today.
All right, y'all, let's get into it. Hey, babe, how you doing?
I'm good. I see you're a fan today.
I represent 313.
Yes, our Lions are playing today, so I'm excited. Although I'm not gonna watch the whole game because ain't nobody staying up
It's all
till
right. It's all right.
11:30. Okay.
It's all right. I've been a fan since 73, so I stay true.
You do. You are a huge Lions fan. I hope they go all the way this year.
It's our time. And all the Lions fans out there, you know what I mean. We endured the 0-16 years and
Oh, that's terrible.
the years, well, that was 1 year, but the years we had one playoff appearance and then none for a long time. So we're in our bag right now.
Come on, let's go. Let's go, Lions. So, yeah, that is what's happening today in addition to this podcast. But I'm excited to talk about this because a friend of ours asked a question in response to another podcast episode, about
Just some practical things.
where our money was specifically. And so I was like, oh, we should talk about how many accounts we have and what logistically it looks like to set up things and be organized financially. And so that's what we're up to.
Yeah. I think sometimes, people can be overwhelmed thinking that you got to, it's 50 steps and, it's a lot of things required. And there is things that you have to do to be methodical. And I always find it funny when I talk to one of the kids and they're like, man, once they start like really adulting, they started adulting, they were like, man, you got to do A, B, C, D, X, Y, Z, and you got to know something about all of this stuff. I was like, hey, welcome to the real world.
Yeah, welcome to adulting. I love that t-shirt that says not adulting today or stuff like that because I feel like sometimes you don't want to. Sometimes you're sick of it.
Yes.
Sometimes paying the bills is an adulting task I am not interested in. And I get it. So when young people are doing that for the first time, it's like, what? And our oldest, she had to go back into the office and
She
she
had to
had
get up
to
earlier.
meal prep and plan her day. And she said, I can't believe that people spend this much time away from home at a job. Like, if for her, it was just like enlightening and not in a good way.
For me, it's just hilarious. It's just funny because I'm like, girl, you've been seeing us do this for years, and now you have to do it. You're like, oh man, I'm so tired. I got to get up early. I got to pack my lunch. I got to be in the office on calls. Then I got to drive home.
And park, wait, and park, find a parking spot,
Yep.
walk into the office, all the things that lead up to literally just getting to work.
I think it's just funny because then she gets home like, I'm so tired. I was like, hello. Imagine coming home to a wife or a husband and a couple of kids and all of that. So,
And our
but-
youngest is the one who will ask us more technical questions about money
yeah.
and how things operate. So I'm excited to talk about this because I don't think we've done that before. And so I want to be clear. What this episode is not about is, do you have shared checking accounts and that
Oh
kind of
man,
thing.
that could be a whole.
It's a whole nother
That could be
episode.
a.
We've
That
talked
could
about
actually
it.
be an episode all by itself.
We've talked about it a little bit. But on this one,
You know what? We should put that on the list and circle back to
circle
that
back.
because
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some people who will agree with us and some people who will most certainly disagree
Yeah.
with us. But
Yeah.
we'll put a pin in that one and come back to that another day.
Right. So today is about how many accounts should you have, or what do you use accounts for? So for clarity, a friend was asking, when we did our renovation, where did we take the money from specifically? And we did not take out a home equity line of credit.
Yeah. We had to take a moment to clarify now with
Yes.
anyone else who may have listened
Yes.
because we renovated, but we did it with cash.
Yes.
We did not take that money from an equity line or anything like that. We took that money from one of our savings accounts
Yes.
because we calculated should we, shouldn't we, and the plan is to just replenish that account with the funds that we spent for the renovation.
And we still have a fully funded emergency fund.
Correct.
We just had beefed it up more. We had put dollars in there. And as a matter of fact, to be very clear, it was in a high yield savings account. So it wasn't just getting 0.1% interest. That account was getting between 4 and 5% interest. And so that's where the monies lied, and that is where we still have a fully funded emergency fund. We just want it to be larger than what it
I must
currently
admit,
is.
that's probably me who errs on the side of saving more in an emergency fund, but that's okay. I'd rather err on the side of caution than to not.
Well, and you know what? And to piggyback off of that, so yes, that is a safety measure that is more important to you than it is probably to me to have a bigger amount. But one, honestly, can your savings account ever be too big? Let's just say
I
that.
don't think so.
And then the other part of it is the reason why financial experts say that there could be a limit on your emergency fund is because typically you are not making a lot of money on that. So when you have money in
Right.
cash, for instance, cash, you're not going to get like the larger returns that you are
If you
in.
put it into the market,
Mhm.
people always say, well, why
Yep.
would you let that cash sit when it could be working in the market, getting
Mhm.
8, 10, 12% versus the 4 or 5%, which we're talking about from a high yield.
Yep.
But, you say tomato, we say tomato. You can split hairs on a different things, but this isn't one that we really are going to split hairs on.
And the reason why you want it in an account like that is because for emergencies, you don't want to be moving it out of the market when the market is low, for instance. And so if an emergency occurs, which I don't think we've ever experienced in our 27 years of marriage, 1 year where we didn't have an emergency. Emergencies occur. An emergency could be as simple as an unexpected car repair or needing an emergency plane ticket to go see a family
a
member.
home repair.
Yeah, and something major, like we had our AC go out. That's an emergency when it's the
Right.
dead heat
Wow.
of summer, right?
Well, that was a big emergency, but
Right, but it came out of the emergency fund.
Yeah.
And then when those emergencies happen, you put the money back.
hmm
So I wanted to be clear about the account, that particular account, and how we utilized our savings account for that purpose.
So I think we're getting a little cart and horse. Let's go back.
So
Let's roll
what
back.
is the horse, honey?
Well, we started talking about how many accounts you need.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, it's not shared or this. Let's just talk, generalities. We have a singular checking account. But then we have, I believe, 5 other accounts that
Yeah.
consist of, a long-term emergency fund savings account, which is the high yield. I like to have a secondary savings account that typically doesn't have as much money in it, but it's with our local bank because it's easily accessible.
Credit union.
Well,
Bank is a 4-letter word.
okay, well,
When we are credit union members,
okay, well,
bank is
I
a
guess,
4-letter
I
word.
guess, okay, It was synonymous to me.
I
Like,
know, but
the
see,
place where money is held.
I know, but I have to say that because when I speak to credit unions, that
They
is a
don't consider
for
themselves a bank.
they are a financial institution. They say banking. Where do you do your banking? But
Okay.
they do not call themselves
Thank
a
you
bank.
for the clarification. It is in a financial institution
Right.
that is local
You
and
could say
typically closer. It's in a credit union
for us, it's
us.
a credit union.
Yeah. For us, it's a credit union. For someone else, it may be,
They could say bank.
a bank or
Yes.
whatever. But then, what's important to us also is that we have an account where we just save for non-monthly things, because most of the monthly expenses that we incur, they just come in and out of our checking account. But when you have like larger items that are maybe annual payments, instead of just going into your savings to pay that, we plan for it. And so we have a non-monthly account where we put our HOA and our insurance and taxes, things like that. We put into a non-monthly account, but we save monthly for those things.
So when we first moved here, we went 6 months and we were, in La La Land. Then the holidays occurred. And then
Yep.
January,
We get this bill.
we got
It's
this
like,
bill. We were like, wait a minute. Oh, no.
like, hold on.
It's
This
the HOA bill. Hold on. Wait a minute. And it was
this is like a $700-800
well,
bill.
at the time, it was only $600. But who wants a $600 bill in January?
Right. After the holidays, unexpectedly.
Right. And so immediately I was like, all right, this is $50 a month. Let's put this aside.
Right. We
And
said this is not going to happen again.
exactly. And our auto insurance is not, it's not terrible. It's actually decently priced, but it is a larger amount. Like, it would actually disrupt the budget.
But you got to pause on that, because we do something different that most people don't do. Most people pay their auto insurance monthly.
Mm-hmm. Well, some people do and some people don't.
Well, you have options. You can pay it monthly. Some companies allow you to pay quarterly, all of that. But what we've opted to do is we pay our auto insurance, I can't even speak right now.
Say it, babe.
Our auto insurance.
That's a tongue twister.
Annually. So we pay it once a year.
And sometimes you get a discount for doing so. Mm-hmm. Because it's only one transaction and they don't have to pay the fees for it to go through the banking system. So that is one of the reasons why it might work out.
Right. We have a charitable account which we put money in because we want to be charitable. We want to be givers, and so we utilize a account specifically for that. And I guess lastly, because Christmas comes every year on the same day, we plan for Christmas.
And that's the thing. You don't want a holiday hangover.
Oh, my God.
So.
And Christmas is never stressful for us, like, financially, because we have saved throughout the year so that when Christmas comes, I'll be honest, we often may add a little bit to it if we're feeling generous.
Not much, though. Honestly, typically we utilize that for gift giving.
We have adjusted it too.
Yeah,
we've
gone up
over the years. So
Yep.
Yeah, but that's what makes up our accounts.
So that's 6 accounts. 1 checking account and 5 savings accounts. And they're not all at the same financial institution. The charitable account and our bigger emergency account is not at the same financial institution.
They're somewhere else.
They're somewhere else. But I have seen, like, this is wild. I've had lots of clients in the work that I do.
What's the maximum number of accounts that you've seen someone have personally?
30.
Oh my! Get out of here! You're not telling the truth.
I promise you. Now, I will say,
what they say, get thee behind me, Satan. The truth is not within you.
That includes their retirement accounts. So we are not including our retirement accounts in this puzzle. But they had, as a couple, over 25 checking and savings
but
accounts.
Even if we included all of the other additional accounts from a retirement perspective, it's still not 30.
No, it's not. So
it's barely double digits.
Yeah. So people, this is my whole thing here is keep it simple as possible. And I wanted that particular client to have a listing of every single thing that they have.
They must have opened accounts and just like forgot that they had them, or
Well, but here's what a lot of people will do. They will jump on a bandwagon and open an account for it. So I remember we had opened an account because someone said we're gonna boost, if you put $100 in here, we're gonna
right.
put $25 in here. And when they do those kinds of things repeatedly to get the free money, that can make things messy. But I've also seen, we're not talking about credit cards here either, but I've also seen someone with like 25 credit cards between them as well.
Ooh,
So
I can't even imagine how you keep that straight.
I don't either. Now, I had one client that had about 10 or 12 accounts, and I still thought that was a lot.
Mm,
And so what I, here's what I'm not a fan of, and I'll be very honest, is that if it's complicated, it's not sustainable.
yeah.
So if you don't know everything you have and where everything is, I think that that's a problem.
I remember when we were out fundraising, like we talked about this a few weeks ago, fundraising for the Lions and a
Yes.
good cause, cancer cause. But um, we had some people who, I don't know if it was just the point of service device we were using or what, but their card wasn't working. So they were like, oh, well, try this card. Oh, well, try this card. And they kept pulling cards out. I was like, oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. Let's back up. Let's go to your main
Well,
card and main source, because I think maybe this is a device issue.
right.
And we
And
resolved it.
yeah.
We resolved it, but I was like, I was surprised, like when people were pulling out a secondary, a third, a fourth card. I was like, whoa, I was becoming a little overwhelmed with the fact that, like, how deep are you gonna go with cards or accounts, even
Yeah.
if they were debit or credit or whatever. The fact that people had like 3 or 4 different things. And I mean, I have 3 cards myself, but it's like, corporate, a personal, and then a debit card. So, but that's it. That's 3.
So in that particular instance, I think it was our machine that needed to
It
be
absolutely was the machine.
reset. But you're right. Like, honestly, if it don't work on the first card, I'm not pulling another one out. I'm gonna be like, it's something on your end, or you not getting
Right.
this money.
Because I know what's going on with my situation.
Exactly. And so I think the challenge is, if you have so many accounts, it is very possible you don't even know what's going on with them accounts, what's in them. And sometimes you have to really consider, why am I doing this? Do I have these accounts to make myself feel like I have more than I have? Or do I have them because I'm trying to split things up? I have also seen financial coaches help people to set up 10 different accounts for 10 different
Right.
things. And that, I
I
think,
don't know. I
can be
think that's just
I
messy.
don't think it's sustainable.
Yeah,
I just don't
it's
think it's
messy.
sustainable.
And I think, another thing to take into account is if you are a business owner or entrepreneur or something like that, you will have to have a separate account for business funds, so you can separate the monies from personal and business. Because if you operate in one account with those, that really gets messy. And when you start thinking about taxes, how do you pull out what was business and how do you pull out what was personal, when you should just have one business account that when you have to do an accounting of that, it's clean, it's concise, it's clear.
I have 2 business checking accounts and 2 savings accounts, because the one account that I needed a different account for a specific purpose, and I never closed the other one.
Right.
And it's so interesting because that's almost too much as well.
It's like it's hanging around like, it's your pet rock.
And I don't, honestly, I don't think that that's something that I will keep long term. But I think we also get attached to our accounts, because my original account is one that I've had since the very beginning of this business. And so I'm slightly attached to it, even though the other account is newer. And
The only time I was attached to an account is when we were moving from one state to another. I didn't know I had an attachment to that account until I was like, oh man, I got to go close this account, because, I had the account number memorized. So I walk into a banking branch banking branch, a credit union branch,
Yes.
a financial
No,
institution
no,
that
no.
exchanges money
You're
branch.
supposed to say credit union branch. My credit union friends will appreciate us getting it right.
Exactly. And I love credit unions. Don't get me don't mistake what I'm saying, but I you're getting to the semantics of it. So I'm gonna stick with the semantics and
I have had to stick with semantics when I'm speaking to credit
right.
unions. Yes.
But when I walked into the credit union and I would be able to rattle off my checking or my banking number and then we were moving, I was like, whoa, I gotta set up a new credit union account and establish new relationships and remember new account numbers. And I don't know, I had a little bit of trepidation there, but I was like, you know what? This is a new phase. I was able to let go.
We're a little old school. I think sometimes you are quicker to make changes sometimes than I am on certain things, and I'm quicker on
Yeah.
certain things to make changes than you are. But uh, by and large, I feel like overall we're kind of old school.
I look, I think we were old souls to begin with, even when we were young. So
You don't want to call us old heads.
I'm not an old head. I don't
You're not an old head. Between the
mm-mm.
two of us,
I don't know why you all every episode you want to go into this.
no, I'm saying I ain't
Like
talking about your age. I'm not. I'm
that's what
today.
make you an old head, right?
No,
Or
it's
habits,
behaviors,
okay.
habits and behaviors. That's what I'm talking about.
You know what?
I
Those
know
old
people.
heads are the ones that knew what they were doing. Okay?
No, I
But
know some old heads who are mentally and in their behaviors um very old school. And I'm not gonna mention any names because these people could watch.
uh,
But but
now you're gonna have people wondering like, are they talking about? Is she talking about me?
or it could be a woman. But so my thing is that sometimes we're slow to make changes.
Yeah,
And like one of the ways that we're old heads is that we actually still use cash for some things, right?
true.
And I think in some ways you use more cash than I do. And I'm an old head sometimes because I don't really particularly like change. And so when I've seen other people use new tools, it was it was difficult for
Yeah,
me to change.
I
I
had a lack
actually
of trust to
yes,
some degree.
yes. And so but I used two tools until I decided to let one go.
Yeah,
And so I didn't want to make that change right away. So I think in that regard, that's what I mean by I'm calling myself one too. It's just we don't have it necessarily on the same
I know this is kind of a
things.
side note, but I think it's interesting when you start talking about old head versus new school, and how we have a friend who you know their son was looking to do something financially, like buy a car, and they were looking for an alternate route to do it. And he got into some, well, I don't know how much this I want to get into,
What's the
but
point of the old head conversation?
I think the point of it is that, he started looking for different ways to generate revenue
Oh yeah.
financially
Yeah.
that could help him, offset the cost of a car or pay for a car.
Mhm.
And I just thought that was so neat that he was looking to leverage, money that he had in a way to fuel his lifestyle
Mhm.
and not just spend it, but like invest it, create a dividend or something like that. So I thought that was pretty neat. And I think that's a new school way of thinking.
Yeah.
But there's probably some old school people who say, I've been doing that for years, but
Right, right, right. But yeah, so I think that how you navigate the banking system can be one of those things that I think we have to get up on technology too.
yeah.
So one way that I think people could add another checking account, and we've never done this. I don't know that it never really became an issue for us, but I do work with people and share this as a way to navigate your checking and savings and stay on budget is a bills account and then a discretionary account. So having an account that all of the bills are set up on auto pay, and then another checking account where You just use that for gas, for groceries, for the miscellaneous stuff, that kind of thing. And when it's gone, it's gone. So here's the deal. If you overspend on that account, you won't be able to dine out. You know what I mean? You can't go buy the clothes, right? It doesn't affect the bills. And so I think that that's a great budgeting technique. So
I don't
whether
know if I like that.
I know, but I'm just saying it's
It's
helpful when
it's helpful to some people. That's not how we function, but
yeah.
as you were talking, I was like, so I gotta have an account where then I move money to another account.
Yeah. So you have to figure out how much it is. But with our non-monthly, we leave the money. So we move money over there, and then we just the main two things that come out of that account, they come out automatically.
Yeah.
So
I think
essentially,
I think the idea you're talking about though could be good for someone when they're early into budgeting, like sorting through their money to create discipline.
that's it. That's
Yeah.
exactly what it is.
Yeah. I could see that being good. And then once they have new habits formed or new ways of working, they may be able to go back to a singular account because I look at our checking account kind of as the clearinghouse. Money comes in, money goes out. And that's its purpose is to flow money in and out. And then I started looking at these other accounts as giving them an assignment. Like that first savings account, that's our emergency account that is kind of there's distance between us and it. It's not at our local credit union.
Yeah.
It's at another institution. So we have to take
The main emergency fund.
right. We have to take some other steps to access that fund. Even though we can access it relatively quickly, it just has a few other steps. And then when we request money from that, it may take a couple of days. So you really have to be committed to what you're doing. And that means you have to think through it and make some decisions. Well, are we going to access that account?
Yeah.
But then our second checking account is with our credit union.
Our second savings account.
Yeah, our second savings account is with our credit union. And that's something where I could walk into the credit union, I could take money out right then.
Yeah.
But we keep a lot less in that account. So it's like, okay, well, I really can't overindulge in that account because we only keep a certain amount of money in there. And I think that's because we've learned discipline. And that's why when you start out, you could use the tactic you were talking about, but then people could evolve to these other tactics and then start to employ, okay, we're going to put our charitable giving into one and our non-monthly into one. And then that can help you kind of have your process worked out.
So I want to talk about a couple of savings accounts that might be good. So we already talked about we have an emergency fund. We also have a short-term savings, which is really just our holiday fund, our Christmas fund. But you could have a separate savings from your emergency fund if you're planning a wedding or if you're, wanting to purchase a car or travel, right? So that again, it just is to build discipline, right? And so you may not want that in your emergency fund, but you might want an account for things that are maybe 1 year to 3 years where you don't want the market to be affecting it negatively, but you also want it to be separate from the emergency fund so you can see it. Sometimes it's good. I also think nicknaming your accounts is so helpful.
I think it's funny because we walk into the credit union and we'll say the name that we've nicknamed it, and they're like, because they can't
They don't
always
see it. It's
those.
on our end.
Right. And it's like, are you talking about the account ending in number? So I always laugh because we've nicknamed them just so we know what they are. And I think it shows on
our online access
online
on the
app,
app and all that. Yes. But so in addition to those, I would also say the non-monthly is vital to me for anybody who has bills that are non-monthly. And then also long-term savings. So when we talked about the brokerage account, in my opinion, that's like the long-term saving. That's like 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
That's the account
That's the long term.
Right. So it's not retirement, but it is also for if we want an investment property or
it's
if
not for,
an emergency.
I
I wouldn't say it's for an emergency.
right. It's not I need to go to the credit union and take money out for whatever. That's
No.
not what that brokerage account is for.
No. So I would say it's that interim, right? So it's that if we choose to start a new business or what have you, and we're like, okay, this is where the funds are going to come from, or we buy that other property, that kind of thing, is 3 to 5 years out, and we want it to make a little bit more return for us. But we're not touching it unless it's for the purpose of something longer term. And so for some people, that could be home purchase. It could be their major renovation.
I think you've labeled them for people because even our savings account that is at the local credit union, that truly could be for emergencies
Yeah, absolutely.
because you can access that money instantly. Whereas our other savings is more for our more more long-term emergencies. That's that 3 to 6, 6 to 12 months where if like life goes off the rails type of emergencies.
So case in point, some years back, I don't know, has it been 8 years now? You had
Yeah.
experienced a
Almost
layoff.
9 years ago. Yeah.
So when you got your severance, we put it into an emergency fund, and we only pulled out what we needed
Yep.
each month until you found your next position,
Yep.
right? And so that kind of stuff is what I would say. Like, I think the biggest emergency, in my opinion, financially speaking, not including medical, because sometimes medical can be a serious emergency.
It's a job loss.
But it's a job loss, and
Yeah.
when you have income loss, that is particularly devastating to finances. And so that's
why you have that longer term emergency fund, because the goal is that your life won't change for 6 to 12 months.
Yeah.
Whereas if the air conditioning or the heat breaks, or the car breaks down, or we've been a few times, you decide you got one bad tire but you need to get a new set of tires. That's more your emergency fund that is more short term, that you can fund those things as they come up.
So, in an effort to help people simplify, I want you to think about one thing, is that sometimes you don't need extra accounts for stuff. Sometimes you need an app, a tracking mechanism, or even your financial institution might have a way for you to have one account, but you know that certain portions of it are for travel, are for your auto insurance when it comes due, or so you might, with tools, be able to separate one account into 5 different areas, be it through the app or through a tracking. So sometimes that happens now. So we use Monarch Money, and they have that feature. We just haven't necessarily needed to use it because
we already had other accounts that were set and established.
Well, but we have I use it actually on Excel, where I kind of know how much each one of our, like, auto insurance, on HOA, those kinds of things. But Monarch or some of these other apps might have that you can utilize that capability in order to separate things so that you don't have 10 accounts. So the point is, how do we simplify but also be organized without having so many accounts that cause you to get messy?
I think 10, 20, 30 accounts is way too much.
Yeah.
I think simple, they say the KISS principle, keep it simple.
Keep it simple what?
Stupid. Where you can't mess it up if you keep it simple, stupid, where it's almost so simple that nobody can mess it up.
Yeah.
And if you have a checking and a couple of savings and just start there, you can make that work.
Yeah.
And then when you want to get more sophisticated, if that's the right word, you could add more and just be purposed in how you spend. And I think that's what this all comes back to, no matter what we're talking about. If it's budgeting or planning for the future or investing in your relationship, it's being intentional about what you do. And so I think that's where I'm going to go with my make it worth it.
Is be intentional.
Be intentional about what you do, from the smallest to the greatest. And we're talking about something as simple as how many accounts do you need, but there's some complexity to that as well. And if you're intentional, that will help direct you in where you want to go and what you're doing and how you're doing it, because the details matter. And you can get, if you don't get clear on the details, you can get lost in the details. So
my make it worth it is gonna be do an audit of your accounts.
That's good advice.
Because I actually went before we did this episode, I went and looked at the accounts that we had that were not retirement accounts so that I was clear.
Not business accounts.
Right, not business accounts, so that I was clear on what it is that we had and why we had it. And I don't think that after this episode we're going to change anything. But I think that for some, hopefully you've gotten some ideas on how to utilize your checking and savings accounts in a way that serves you. And it's different for everybody, but I think it's important to do an audit on, like, where do you have money and why is that money there? And then is it serving you in the best way that it can?
Right.
And if you do that, then you can find some alignment on what that looks like. And every couple's finances are different. But I think if you do that, that's a really great place to be when you're in alignment on where all of the money is going and why it's going there.
I like that.
So,
well, I hope as you guys press like and subscribe and keep coming back listening, I hope you got something from this and that you'll, take a moment and pause, take inventory of what your current situation is and be intentional as you move forward.
Yeah. So I'm excited. I'm glad that we talked about this. I feel like it brings some clarity. So until next time.
We're out. Thank you for spending some of your time with us today.
We appreciate all of your support. So be sure to subscribe, rate, and review us wherever you listen to this podcast.
You can find us on Instagram at For Better and Worth.
And sign up to receive our free guide, The 7 Reasons Your Money Relationship Isn't Working with Your Partner, on ForBetterAndWorth.com.
Until next time, we're out of here.